Well, happy Hockey Day in Canada, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Warmies, live from the Sports Interaction Studio. And it is a jam-packed show we've got for you on this Saturday afternoon with the Calgary Flames getting set to take on the New York Islanders. And there's no time to waste. This game getting started at 1 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, with it being Hockey Day in Canada. The Flames leading the festivities off on this Saturday. But nobody is really that concerned about today's game, at least not to the extent that some folks have been focusing on some other stories around the Calgary Flames relating to a couple of their defensemen. And we'll start with the smaller one. Coming out just moments ago before we went live, the Calgary Flames have reassigned defense prospect Zayne Parekh to the AHL's Calgary Wranglers on a conditioning stint. So Parekh is back in action after being day-to-day with an injury since his star-making turn at the World Junior Championship late last December and early this month. Parekh is down. Matvei Gridin comes up for the Calgary Flames, and he is expected to draw in for the Flames against the Islanders today. And in a corresponding move, 2021 second-round pick William Stromgren is returned to the Wranglers after appearing in his first 3 NHL games with the Flames. So Parekh is down, Gridin is up, and Stromgren down for the Calgary Flames. But, come on, what are we all talking about today other than Rasmus Andersson, who we thought might have played his last game as a member of the Calgary Flames against the Chicago Blackhawks on Thursday? We have been waiting with bated breath to see if and when the Flames will move Rasmus Andersson. Over the last couple days, we've been hearing a lot about the Boston Bruins, but there's also been talk surrounding Detroit, Vegas, Dallas, a number of other teams that are reportedly involved in the 29-year-old defenseman. And I will readily admit, I have gone to bed the last couple days expecting to wake up to see Rasmus being traded, just based on a number of different factors. And I thought it was going to be Boston, and here we are. And Rasmus Andersson will play for the Calgary Flames today against the New York Islanders. And there have been a varied slate of reactions to this. Andersson, of course, is the Flames' biggest trade chip, and he's also their most pressing. He's in the final year of his contract. There's really no other opportunity to move him other than this year because, as we all kind of know, Rasmus Andersson will not be extending with the Calgary Flames. At least that's what we understand. This is not a situation where the Flames are going to be retaining Rasmus beyond this season. So if they're going to move him and they're going to get value for him, they have to do it this year. And it has seemed like a trade is imminent the last few days, and we weren't sure. I mean, we've sort of pointed out on this show before, the Flames like to make deals at home. They have not made a big deal on the road in a while. They have everything sort of lined up now where they're at home for the next 5 games. And maybe there's a possibility that they're playing Rasmus today as kind of a send-off type deal where they have deals maybe in the can, and this is his last opportunity to play for the Flames in front of the Saddledome faithful. I don't know. There's a lot going on with Rasmus Andersson. And as Elliot confirmed to us on social media a few minutes ago, Rasmus will play for the Calgary Flames today against the New York Islanders at the Scotiabank Saddledome. We'll have a look at the Sports Interaction betting lines for today's game between the Flames and the Islanders. Expansion siblings, both entering the league in 71. The Flames were in Atlanta at the time. And as two teams with a lot in common, shouldn't be surprised that they both have the same odds for today's game. They're both at minus 110 over at Sports Interaction. The over-under set at 6, the spread at minus 1.5 or plus 1.5. And they also put together a pre-built same-game parlay with the parlay plus 160 odds. The results with the Islanders winning the game and Matt Barzal an anytime assist prop. So, not the longest odds on this one, but still an interesting same-game parlay. And the money line is even at minus 110. Those lines all courtesy of the folks over at Sports Interaction Sportsbook and Casino. Every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. From puck drop to overtime, you can bet with Canada's homegrown sportsbook. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. There is all sorts of stuff going on around the Calgary Flames today, and we'll have a look at their forward lineup in this game, courtesy of the folks over at Daily Faceoff. We will see a little bit more as the warm-ups begin. The one change that we are expecting, Dryden Hunt will be out for the Calgary Flames today, and Matvei Gridin will come into the lineup. Of course, Gridin has 1 goal, 1 point with the Flames this season. He scored in the Flames season opener back against the Edmonton Oilers in October. Jonathan Huberdeau, Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee, that is expected to be a line, but we'll see how exactly it shakes out. I don't expect them to break up Michael Backlund, Yegor Sharangovich, and Matt Coronado, who have been excellent of late. Yegor had a couple of points in the last win against the Chicago Blackhawks on the road to wrap up that 5-game road swing. We shall see as the warm-ups begin over at the Saddledome who exactly comes onto the ice for the Calgary Flames. Seeing in the chat here, anything Pospisil saying fourth line Gridin. I'm not really expecting Matvei Gridin to play on the fourth line for the Calgary Flames in this game. I'm expecting him to swap in for Dryden Hunt, but that doesn't mean that he's going to play in Dryden Hunt's spot on the fourth line. My expectation is we might see Adam Klapka back on line number 4 for the Calgary Flames against the Islanders today, and then Gridin playing in a top 9 spot. But we'll have to see when, in fact, or where, in fact, number 92 lines up for the Calgary Flames in his first NHL games since the start of the season when he made the Flames out of training camp. He's been an AHL All-Star for the Calgary Wranglers this year with 28 points in 32 games. He's been great, way above expectations as a 19-year-old in the American Hockey League whose top level of experience had been with the Shawinigan Cataracts in the QMJHL last year. 19-year-old, already in the American League, already an all-star at that level. He'll be a very good NHL player for the Calgary Flames. Go again for the Calgary Flames in today's game, as we expect. So there's a look at some of the early lineups. And yes, Matvei Gridin and Rasmus Andersson are on the ice for warm-ups for the Calgary Flames today, courtesy of our buddy Ryan Pike. We'll have a look at the defenseman for the Calgary Flames. As we mentioned multiple times, it'll be Rasmus Andersson in with Kevin Ball on the Flames' top pairing. Now, if the Flames really are on the verge of sending number 4 elsewhere, you'll wonder exactly what the usage will be. Andersson was worked real hard in that game against Chicago a couple of nights ago, playing, I think, over 26 minutes in that victory for the Calgary Flames. Will he see a bit more of a limited role today? It remains to be seen, but indeed, he will play for the Calgary Flames. Jan Kuznetsov, Mackenzie Weegar, that's been a pretty steady pairing for the Flames this year. And Joel Hanley with Hunter Brzustevich is projected on the pairing number 3. We'll see if it's Brzustevich or Braden Pahal as the Warmies continue at the Scotiabank Saddledome, but still very much a early look at the lines for the Calgary Flames in today's game. We'll see some stuff being finalized as we get closer to puck drop at 1 o'clock Mountain as part of Hockey Day in Canada. It's a lot of fun. These types of games, these types of situations where trade winds are swirling, we're getting close to maybe something happening. It's been 352 days since the last time something actually meaningful happened as it pertained to the Calgary Flames. I remember that day very well. It was me and Pinder on the show. Flames were playing. They made that deal with the Flyers. We were joined by some NHL insiders live on that show, and rest assured, when the Rasmus Andersson deal does happen, we will be live breaking it all down. I don't know if it'll be me. I don't know if it'll be Pinder. I don't know who it'll be on the show. It's basically whoever's available when that news breaks. We'll have it all live for you here on Flames Nation on the Barn Burner YouTube channel, because it's going to take a lot of discussion to get through all the finer points of whatever deal ends up occurring between these two teams. The Flames and the Islanders meeting today for the first time this season. If you'll recall, the Islanders hosted the Flames in their very first game at the UBS Arena back in, I think, 2022. And it will indeed, again, be the Flames at UBS Arena later this year on March the 14th, 3 days shy of Michael Backlund's birthday. That'll be the second game of the season series between these two teams. And we'll have a look at the lineups for the New York Islanders in today's game, starting with it is a decent little group that the Islanders have, headlined by Matt Barzal, who's having one of the best years of his career on the top line with Anders Lee and Anthony Duclair. Former Flames prospect Emil Heineman, who never actually played a pro game in the Flames organization, on line number 2, a very young line with Cal Ritchie and Maxim Shabanov. Jonathan Drouin on the third line with J.G. Pajot and Simon Holmstrom. And the fourth line, it's no longer Martin Cizikas and Clutterbuck. It is Kyle McLean, Cizikas, and Mark Gatcomb on line number 4 for the NYI. And then on the defensive side for the New York Islanders, of course, the name everybody likes is Matthew Schaefer. He has been outstanding as a rookie this season. He's the shoo-in to win the Calder Trophy as the NHL's top first-year player. And had he been at the World Juniors, as he is still eligible for, Canada probably would have won gold. But of course, that can be said for Max Celebrini as well and a variety of other players. Schaefer with Ryan Pollock on the top pairing for the Islanders. Adam Pelech, a very steady Eddie on the blue line for the Islanders there with Tony DeAngelo, who is anything but steady, but two players who complement each other on paper. And then Adam Boqvist on the third pairing with Scott Mayfield for the New York Islanders today. We should mention the goaltending matchup as well for these two teams. Dustin Wolf will be between the pipes for the Calgary Flames today against the New York Islanders. And for the other side, it'll be our old buddy David Rittich, who has been excellent as Semyon Varlamov's replacement behind Ilya Sorokin on Long Island this season. David Rittich, the former Flame, is 11-5-3, 10 save percentage with the Islanders in 19 games this season, making just $1 million for the Islanders, but he's done a very good job, and it wouldn't be surprising to see the Islanders look to continue that partnership going forward with Varlamov's NHL future very much uncertain. So a battle of a couple of familiar faces in the creases for the Flames and the Islanders in today's game at the Scotiabank Saddledome. There are already pictures flying around on social media. Rasmus Andersson, of course, on the ice for the titular Warmies at the Scotiabank Saddledome. Not seeing any actual line combinations yet, though, so we'll wait and see when those actually come through live from the Warmies. In the meantime, I'll have a look at some more player props from the good folks over at Sports Interaction. And, of course, the top name on this list is Rasmus Andersson as we look at the shot props, courtesy of SI. We have Andersson at over 1.5 shots. That's a -190. And if, as we believe this may be the case, if this is Rasmus's last game as a Flame, he'll be blasting the puck tonight, I would expect, or today, rather. So over 1.5 for Rasmus. The other names on the list, Michael Backlund, Nazem Kadri, they're both at over 2.5 shots, as is Matt Coronato and Mackenzie Weegar. That one's a bit of a surprise. Weegar's odds at +140 for over 2.5. And then at over 1.5, Igor Farabee, Huberdeau, and Connor Zary, all at different little rates. I would go over on Rasmus all day long. I think he is going to be all over the ice in today's game, barring, of course, an early yanking if something does come together for the Calgary Flames and another team in a Rasmus deal. So we shall see. It's going to be a very, very interesting day for the Calgary Flames. And one more time, every game is your game. When you bet with Sports Interaction, get in on the action with parlay boosts, live betting, and easy deposits and payouts. Bet now at sportsinteraction.com/FlamesNation. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Sports Interaction, it just brings you closer to the action with real-time betting. You can bet while all the action unfolds with 100 plus markets per game, easy deposits and payouts with lightning fast Interac e-transfer and other top payment options. So you can bet with a trusted Canadian brand since 1997. Good to see some familiar faces in the chat. Of course, we do always accept super chats, proceeds from which benefit the youth centers of Calgary. And here we are from our buddy Pat Steinberg. The Flames lines this afternoon get set. We expected to see Sharon Govich, Backlund, and Coronato staying together, and indeed they will be on the top line for the Calgary Flames again tonight. They've been their top line the last few games. Here's a new look line, too, for the Calgary Flames. Maybe this will give Nazem Kadri a spark because he has 1 point in his last 12 games. Kadri today, playing on a line with Connor Zary, who's been one of the Flames' best players of late, and Matvei Gridin, playing with Nazem Kadri on a very good line, at least on paper, for the Calgary Flames. Line 3, a bit of an island of misfit toys. Jonathan Huberdeau with Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. These three guys have kind of struggled of late. And then on line number 4, it'll be, as we expected, Ryan Lomberg with Justin Kirkland and Adam Klapka. Dryden Hunt comes out of the lineup for the Calgary Flames. On the defensive side of things, it is Kevin Ball with Rasmus Andersson, Yan Kuznetsov with Mackenzie Weegar, and Hunter Brzustewicz playing on the right side of Joel Hanley. So there's a look at the lines, courtesy of our buddy Pat Steinberg, reporting live from the Scotiabank Saddledome. And of course, as we mentioned, it is Dustin Wolf, the 2019 7th round pick, who will start for the Flames today in 36 games with the Flames this season. He has 14-19-2 with an .899 save percentage. So let's get to the meat of the matter. Rasmus Andersson. There's been all sorts of talk, and Boston is a team that has been floating around for a while now, but has really sort of emerged in the last few days as a team that a lot of people are taking seriously as a suitor for Rasmus. And you can kind of see why. They have a need for a right-handed shot on defense who can play big minutes. If Rasmus wants to go back and forth between, his NHL city and Sweden, it's easy to get there from Boston. Much easier if you're on the East Coast. A couple of his buddies are there. Obviously, the Swedish Mafia in Calgary from a few years ago. He'd be reunited with Elias Lindholm in Boston, and of course, he's familiar with Nikita Zadorov as well. So it makes some sense. And some of the names that have been, floated around by various people are intriguing for the Calgary Flames. Mason Lohrei is a name that's been put out there by a few folks, and it's an intriguing one. He's one of the few NHL players. He might be the only one born in Louisiana, although he grew up in Wisconsin, but his dad was coaching in the ECHL in Louisiana at the time in Baton Rouge. And Mason Lohrei is a 6'5" defenseman who shoots left and is kind of stylistically a little bit like a diet version of Dougie Hamilton in that he's not overly physical, which kind of draws, the ire of some fans in Boston from time to time. And he skates reasonably well. He's always put up points. Mason Lohrei has been a big producer at every level. Last year, he had a really tough go on his own end. He was minus 43 with the Bruins last year, which was the worst mark in the NHL. This year, it's evened out a little bit. His underlyings still aren't amazing. He turned 25 today. Today is his birthday. And so we'll see if Mason Lohrei's birthday present is to, head across the continent. But if the Flames do end up getting a player like that, I'm not opposed to it. I think there's a lot that they can gain from getting a player like that, especially because if you look at the makeup of the back end in Calgary, there is a lot of samey attributes in their left-handed guys. You look at Kevin Ball, Yan Kuznetsov, Joel Hanley. And these are guys who all kind of play a similar style. And Mason Lohrei is a big guy, like a Kevin Ball is, and like a Yan Kuznetsov is, but he plays a very different game. And I think you want to have a little bit more of a balance on your left versus your right. Lohrei is more of a puck mover. And I don't mind it, on paper at least, if that is a name that comes to Calgary in a possible Boston deal. Some other folks have been talking about Matt Poitras, who's a center prospect, second-round pick from a few years ago. Who is not a bad player either. The thing that really intrigues me with Boston, though, is they have 4 first-rounders in their next 2 drafts. They have the Toronto Maple Leafs first-rounder in this year's draft, and that is super fascinating. Both their first-rounders in 2026 are extremely tantalizing, I would say, from a Flames standpoint. Obviously, the Flames have picked multiple times in the first round in the last 2 drafts. They have 2 first-rounders again in this year's draft. And what if they could make that 3? Or what if they could get another first-rounder for next year, for 2027? So Boston has the ability to pull that off, where some other teams don't. And that is what is really intriguing to me, at least, about making a possible deal with the Boston Bruins, assuming, maybe there's an extension aspect to it as well. So it's really interesting, and we don't know all the details about what has been discussed. It certainly seems like there's been a lot of movement over the last few days as far as teams calling, the Flames calling teams, Rasmus Andersson saying, here's maybe where I'd be more keen on going. I don't get the sense that Rasmus is trying to handcuff the Flames by any means. He is more receptive to different destinations than maybe a guy like Noah Hanifin was. I think we're probably getting to the point now, though, where the Flames have opened the floor to Rasmus to maybe talk to some of these teams, which is something that we haven't seen as this process has unfolded. And that has been a very deliberate choice on the Flames' part, as, they kind of learned from the situation they found themselves in with Hanifin, where they locked themselves into Vegas because they let Hanifin talk to Vegas. So that's just something to discuss. I don't know how I feel about Rasmus playing in this game. Unless, what we've all been hearing is just hogwash, unless they're not even close to a deal. But if they are close to a deal, that to me seems a little like they're playing fast and loose with what they have, especially because if you're looking at Nazem Kadri and Blake Coleman, you have the luxury of extra term with those players. If something goes south this year, you can always say, we'll do it in the future as far as a possible trade is concerned. You don't have that luxury with Rasmus Andersson. This is the year to do it if you're going to do it. And they certainly don't strike me as being receptive to wanting to let that guy walk for nothing. I think there's a lot of interest in Rasmus Andersson, and I think there's a very good chance the Flames can get something done here that benefits them enormously. Excuse me, much more than they would from letting him walk for nothing. They wouldn't benefit from that at all. So we shall see. It's interesting to me that they play an afternoon game today. That to me seems uniquely advantageous to the point where, okay, we play the game. The game's probably over at 3:30, 4, and then you have the rest of the day to hammer something out. And then tomorrow, between games, you can coordinate all the logistics, get Rasmus out of here, bring the new guys in if there are new players. That part seems almost too good to be true, that the Flames, they don't have to worry about, Rasmus finishing today's game and then having to announce a trade at 10 o'clock. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if today still ends up being the day. But by the same token, it is moving seemingly at a glacial pace. How many times have we brought up that counter of how long it's been since the Flames last made a deal? 352 days. I wish it was 252 days. 352 days since the Flames last made a substantial move. And I think we are due for that to change. And as Terran Boot 9405 says in the chat, I also love the idea of getting Toronto's first rounder, not just because I think it'll be a decent pick. Toronto isn't very good this year, but also stick it to Brad, man. Like that's really funny. I think it's I think it'd be I can see the Flames valuing that pick enormously high, not only for practical reasons, but also for sentimental reasons. Let's put it that way. So yeah, a lot of stuff worth digging into ahead of today's game, and we're glad to have you all along with us on what is a fascinating Saturday in the hockey world. We'll take you through some of the other games that are already in progress on the NHL docket today. There's lots and lots going on. The Hockey Day games, Toronto and Winnipeg going live at 5 Mountain, Montreal, Ottawa at the same time, and then Edmonton in Vancouver at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Some other games already in progress. The Buffalo Sabres staying red hot. They are tied at 4 with Minnesota in the third period of what has been an incredible back and forth game. Sabres with goals from Alex Tuch, Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Ryan McLeod. Wild have goals from Marcus Foligno, Ryan Hartman, Vladimir Tarasenko, and Quinn Hughes. And then one other game already in progress. That is the New York Rangers playing host to the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers goaltender Alexei Kolosov allowed 3 goals in the first 3 shots he faced in this game and was replaced by Sam Ersson, who hasn't fared a whole lot better. The Rangers leading that game 6-2 after 2. Goals from Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Brennan Othman, a second one from Zibanejad, a third one from Zibanejad, and a second one from Panarin. Flyers with goals from Travis Sanheim and Travis Konechny. It certainly doesn't look like Artemi Panarin will be finishing the season as a member of the New York Rangers. So lots going on there as well, especially after the Rangers released that letter yesterday, essentially admitting, we know we're not very good, but they appear to be coming out with a vengeance. Got 1982 AWOL saying, Mike, do you think if this gets done, Coleman and Kadri are moved shortly after? It's funny. What we've been hearing lately is more so around Kadri, which is kind of the opposite of what I expected this season, because Kadri obviously has more term and therefore less, immediate impetus for the Flames to look at moving him. But everything we've been hearing lately is just about how much the Flames want to keep Blake Coleman, which I don't know if it's necessarily the prudent thing to do, but they may end up doing it regardless. Nazem Kadri's in a bad way right now. He has 1 point in his last 12 games. He looks completely stifled offensively, and to me, a little bit checked out. And I mean, I grant you playing him with Matvei Gridin could really give him a spark, but I do wonder if something ends up moving there shortly rather than, super late. But I don't know. It seems like it'll be pretty complicated. He's got 7 years, or pardon me, he's got 3 years after this one at $7 million a year. You might need to include some retention. That would take, up a number of slots over the next few years. So it's a tricky one to balance, I think, from the Flames standpoint, but I'd be for it. And I'd be for them looking at some other names in their lineup as well. Ryan Lomberg, Joel Hanley, Braden Pahal. There are a variety of names who I could see the Flames looking at moving between now and March 6th. So Yeah, they're not in a playoff spot. They're not anywhere close. So in theory, nobody should be off the table. Lomberg's a pending UFA. Hanley and Paul both have a year left after this one, and then they'll be UFAs. The other one that I really look at is Morgan Frost, who has another year left after this one, but I think that's maybe more of a draft decision with Morgan Frost. Do we re-sign this guy, or do we maybe look at flipping him? But that's one where I look at as well. So, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of pieces that are guaranteed to be staying put in Calgary. I'll put it that way. Matty Coronado, Dustin Wolf. You're not trading Huberdeau. You're not trading Igor. I think there's a lot of guys who could be on the move, and we shall see. Yeah, that pretty much covers all the bases on this edition of the Warmies. We have all the information for you. Rasmus Andersson will be playing today for the Calgary Flames. It is going to be a big game. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big weekend for the Calgary Flames, and we thank you for joining us. Also, want to mention tomorrow, Calgary Wranglers playing host to the Bakersfield Condors at the Saddledome. I believe at 1 o'clock. I will be at that game. Glad to be back at the Dome for a Wranglers game. It's been a while. Zayne Parekh will, we expect, make his AHL debut for the Wranglers tomorrow against Bakersfield. They'll also be getting William Stromgren back, so one to watch perhaps on a Sunday if you got nothing else going on. Maybe go check out the game at the Saddledome. So, yeah, I think we'll pretty much call it there. Folks, enjoy, and if something does happen after the game, obviously, we will have Robert and Cammie on the Afterburner show in the immediate aftermath of the game. If something happens later in the evening, though, don't worry. We got you covered. Just stay glued to the Flames Nation Barn Burner channel. Turn on those notifications for new videos. Like this video so you can see more of them. And, of course, be sure to subscribe. We appreciate your support, and it's going to be a wild ride moving forward. Thanks to the good folks over at Sports Interaction. Once again, go to sportsinteraction.com/Flames Nation. Every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. Get in on the action with parlay boosts, live betting, and easy deposits and payouts. Bet now. sportsinteraction.com/Flames Nation. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. For my producer, Michael, out in Ontario, my name is Mike Gould, saying thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the Flames versus the Islanders just past the top of the hour. Until then, you've been watching the Warmies.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.